Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo. We're reading Basics of Buddhism by Pat Allwright, and today's chapter is called the Gohonzon. And here's a quote. It says, "A mind which presently is clouded by illusions, originating from the innate darkness of life, is like a tarnished mirror. But once it is polished, it will become clear, reflecting the enlightenment of immutable truth." So, what is the most important thing in our lives? Most people would agree that health is important. Many people put their family or loved ones first. Others would say that their prime aim in life is to become successful in their careers. Lots of people want to be rich. All of the above are highly desirable. However, there is something which is more desirable. That is a supremely fulfilled life condition, a life filled with wisdom, confidence, and caring, which is undisturbed by life's vagaries. Nichiren Buddhism inscribed the Gohonzon as the foundation for that kind of life. Gohonzon literally means hon, foundation, zon, esteem, while go is an honorific prefix indicating respect. To practitioners of Nichiren Buddhism, the Gohonzon is the object of fundamental respect, or the object which we hold in highest esteem. The problem with materialistic objects of devotion, such as careers or money, is that they are subject to change. If our happiness depends entirely on them, it is extremely fragile. If we do not become a millionaire, we are forever frustrated. If our loved one leaves, we are devastated. Our objectives in life also determine the extent to which we can develop ourselves. If our objective is to make $1 million, this may make us determined and clever in business, but it will not develop, say, our appreciation of nature. Of course, most people would agree that there is more to life than making money. However, if we dictate ourselves, for example, to become a nurse devoted to help others, a teacher, an inventor, or a good neighbor, the degree of both our development and our happiness is dependent on something which has limitations and is always subject to change. The Gohonzon contains the enlightened life condition of Buddhahood, which is unswayed by changing circumstances. The potential of human life in the Buddha states is limitless. When Nichiren Buddhism was alive, his followers could experience Buddhahood through their relationship with him. He left the Gohonzon for us so that we can be self-sufficient and practice to it to realize our own Buddhahood. External objects have the power to change us depending on our relationship to them. A painting can make us feel enraptured, disgusted, tranquil, or perplexed, depending both on the mastery of the painter and on our response to it. Money may also cause different reactions, mostly pleasure, but perhaps disgust is offered as a bribe. A letter received from a loved one will cause delight. A letter from the bank manager saying we are overdrawn may cause anxiety. The function of the Gohonzon is to enable us to draw forth our innate Buddhahood. The idea of an object or of devotion may seem strange to Western people. It may appear to be akin to idolatry. However, the Gohonzon is very different to an idol. We are not worshipping something superior or separate from ourselves. Rather, Nichiren Buddhism bequeaths us a graphic representation of the enlightened life condition of the universe, the enlightened life condition of our lives. Through chanting Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo, we fuse our lives with the Gohonzon and draw out and experience our own enlightened life condition. The use of an object as a focus of concentration for meditation is quite usual in Buddhism. It is called a mandala. Mandala is a Sanskrit word, originally meaning circle. In ancient India, a circle was drawn in the sand around everyone taking part in the religious ceremonies, signifying protection. A circle encompasses everything within it. It is all-embracing and therefore contains the meaning of the university wholeness, and healing. It encompasses the microcosm and the microcosm and the microcosm. The Gohonzon is also described as a cluster of blessings and perfectly endowed. Our lives are perfectly endowed with everything we need for happiness. Heart innate Buddha nature responds to our chanting Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo to the Gohonzon. Nichiren Buddhism encourages us to believe in this mandala with all your heart. I, Nichiren, have inscribed my life in Sumi ink. So believe in the Gohonzon with your whole heart. The Gohonzon is a scroll on which are written Chinese Sanskrit characters. Written down the center in bold characters is Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo Nichiren. This signifies the oneness of the law, Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo, and the person, Nichiren Daishonin. In other words, Nichiren Daishonin's life was completely as one with the law of the universe. This qualifies him to inscribe the ultimate truth. On either side of this central inscription are written names of both historical and mythical figures who represent various functions of life. At the top, the historical Buddha, Shakyamuni, represents subjective wisdom and the mystical Buddha. Taiho represents object reality. Also inscribed along the top are the names of the four Bodhisattvas, who represents true self, entity, purity, and joy. These are all qualities of the state of Buddhahood. All of the 10 state of life appear on the Gohonzon, as well as various protective forces of the universe. Nichiren Daishonin explains, illuminated by the 5 characters of the mystic law, Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo, they display the enlightened nature they inherently possess. This is true object of worship. This means that even seemingly negative life states like hunger are transformed when one life is based on Buddhahood. For example, hunger is represented by a mystical figure called Kishimoujin. She was a female demon who had 500 children and it is said killed other people's babies to feed them to her own. She eventually became a believer in Buddhism and repented for her past misdeeds. Together with her children, she vowed to protect other believers. Kishimoujin is inscribed quite low down on the Gohonzon. Hunger is an essential driving force and is therefore represented on the Gohonzon, like all other functions of life. If hunger dominates our lives, if it was written down the center, it will be out of proportion and functioning negativity. In its correct perspective and subservient to Buddhahood, it functions to protect us. There is a well-known phrase, looking at life through rose-tinted spectacles. When people are in love, everything looks brighter and more beautiful than before. Life seems wonderful and easy. Other people respond to this, smiling fondly at young lovers. This is a good illustration of how both our perception of life and the environment change according to our life state, in this case, rapture. We are all prone to particular basic states of life. If, for instance, we are dominated by anger, then everything in life is colored by this and the environment responds accordingly. Other people are angry towards us or else avoid us. When we chant to the Gohonzon, we are, as it were, putting our life back into the right order with the state of Buddhahood at the center. Then everything responds to this enlightened state and functions to enhance and protect our lives. There are many external influences in the daily life which brings out our lower life conditions, such as hell or anger. This external stimulus for Buddhahood is the Gohonzon. This is why we need to regularly return to the Gohonzon and focus on Buddhahood. Various forces of the universe, such as the sun and the moon, are also inscribed on the Gohonzon. These forces can be destructive as well as beneficial. The sun is essential to life and yet can burn and do great harm. When we chant to the Gohonzon, the forces of the universe function in a protective way because we are acting from our enlightened nature. Nichiren Daishonin wrote, Buddhism teaches that when the Buddha nature manifests itself from within, it will obtain protection from without. This is one of its fundamental principles. The Gohonzon is often described as a mirror. It is the mirror which reflects our greater self, the self of the enlightened human being, in harmony with universal life. We cannot see our own face without a mirror. Similarly, because our wisdom is limited, we cannot see our Buddhahood. When we face the mirror of the Gohonzon and chant Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo, we can see through our illusions and discover the treasure of our own lives. The Gohonzon embodies enlightened and eternal universal life. By making this our highest object of devotion, we are by no means cutting out other commitments. On the contrary, with the unlimited potential of the Gohonzon at the center of our lives, we are able to take on many other commitments, but they do not dominate or overwhelm us because they are part of the picture, not at the end in itself. Not an end in themselves. So, no matter what our objectives in life are, what every human being fundamentally desires is enlightenment. By drawing forth our Buddhahood in front of the Gohonzon, we tap the source of vitality that enables us to constantly refresh and invigorate ourselves. We also experience the eternal nature of our lives, which give us stability. Practice to the Gohonzon is all about growth. Through repeatedly experiencing how we can turn difficult situations into benefit for our lives, we deepen the power of our faith. In this way, we build a life which is not dependent on outside circumstances. It is so strongly orientated towards our Buddha nature that nothing can make us feel defeated. In earlier forms of Buddhism, people have to undertake many difficult and complicated practices over many lifetimes in order to arrive at an intuitive awakening to the ultimate truth. Nichiren Buddhism makes this unnecessarily by bequeathing us the ultimate truth in the form of the Gohonzon. Embracing and practicing the Gohonzon throughout our lives is in itself attaining Buddhahood. In fact, the emphasis on the practice of Nichiren Buddhism is to awaken Buddhahood in the others. Daisuke Aikida explains this. The teachings embracing the Gohonzon is itself enlightenment, represents a revolutionary way of what it means to attain Buddhahood. Mr. Toda said, in contrast to the Buddhas of expedient means, who have practiced for 10 millions of years, we can complete our practice for attaining Buddhahood by simply believing in the Gohonzon and chanting the single phrase, Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo. We can obtain this vast state of Buddhahood directly, right now, right where we are. Then we can go out in society and tell others of the exhilaration we experience in manifesting this state of life. This practice represents the quintessence of the Daishonin's Buddhism. So that is the end of that chapter. And so tomorrow will be the practice of Nichiren Buddhism. So until tomorrow, Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo.